Can you guys see me now? Can someone tell me if they can see me? Please. Can you see me, Lola? Yes. Okay. So here we go again. Thank you for tuning in again for another entry of Jackie's Journal. I appreciate all the support, all the feedback that I received last week, positive, negative, whatever. I appreciate it. I tried to read and respond to everyone. There were some comments that I wanted to address, but I'll do that at another time because this entry is something that's very, very near and dear to my heart. And this one is about domestic violence. Why is it near and dear to my heart? Because you're looking at a victim of domestic violence for many years. First of all, I don't like to call it domestic violence because I feel like the word domestic violence, to me, just to me, it softens what it really was. Okay? What it really was I was getting my ass beat straight up. Okay? First time I ever got my ass beat, I was 16 years old. For my first boyfriend. When that relationship ended, mind you, didn't end because of the domestic violence. I ended up marrying somebody. I had 4 sons, and marrying somebody that thought that, yeah, domestic violence was the thing. I have issues with people who know of people that have gone through domestic violence. First of all, domestic violence is not only beating. Domestic violence is physical, sexual, and mental. And they're all bad. I don't like when people say, well, I have friends that say, well, no man will ever put their hand on me because if they did, I would cut that nigga, blah, 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 blah. Right. Or my family members would do X, Y, Z. And although that might be true for you, not saying that you don't have family members that if a man put their hand on you or your partner put their hands on you, that your family members won't step in. That's not everybody's story. Everybody doesn't have that. Everybody doesn't have that self-esteem to just up and leave a relationship like that. And especially if I'm a victim of all 3. Physical, emotional, and sexual. Yes, I am. And I want you to know that this is the first time that I'm really talking about this outside of my family and maybe to 1 or 2 friends. I don't have too many of those, so I don't be telling my business. But, yeah. So, I don't like when people say that. You don't know what my circumstances were, what caused me to stay, why I didn't leave when I was supposed to, why I didn't cut that nigga dick off, why I didn't stab him in the sleep, why I stayed. So I'm just going to give you some of my scenario, okay? I have 4 sons. I was young. This man was a good provider, took care of my kids, loved them. We had a nice home, all of that stuff. I had a job. I didn't need to work, but I had a job, and he was giving me money, and I could do whatever I wanted with the money, whatever. So why he put his hand on me? Why he put his hand on me? Why did I allow him to put his hand on me? Because when you hearing stuff, when somebody's telling you, you got 4 sons, ain't nobody gonna want you. Who gonna take care of them boys like I'm taking care of them boys? You can't afford to buy them Jordans every freaking month when they come out. You can't afford to keep them fly like that with your little job. You're not even that cute. You skinny. I was skinny then, I'm not skinny now. But yeah, you skinny, you dark skinned. Niggas be looking for light skinned girls with long hair. When you hearing stuff literally beating you down all the time, you start to believe that shit. You start to believe that you're not worth anything. And the only person that's going to love you is the person that's beating you. That's how messed up I was. this is tough. I remember, like, I lived in a house. I was married to this man for 8 years, and literally every day it was like I'm walking on eggshells. I had to be careful what I say. I had to make sure I cooked exactly what he wanted me to cook. Had to make sure my kids was always together. Don't take them around people that he didn't like, even though they were my friends. Let me see. It was a plethora of things. It was nothing that was right. Nothing. Everything was wrong. I remember one day he got a phone call about something had nothing to do with me, and he just went on a rampage. And I remember running out the house because I was scared. And this man chased me down the street, and all I felt was a fist in the back of my head that knocked me to the floor. And when I turned around and looked up at this man, he looked at me and said, "That's what you get for making me chase you." Not thinking, this is how messed up I was. Not thinking, damn, I could have hit my head. He could have killed me. I could have been dead right here. And then what would have happened to my kids? Out of fear, I stayed. Because my thought process was, if I leave, there's no place to hide. Everybody live in the same community. Where I'm going to go? Everybody knew everybody. Where I'm going to go? Somebody going to tell them, oh yeah, she's here, and he going to come get me, and he going to kill me, or he going to take my kids, or whatever. None of which may have been particularly true, because you know what I'm saying? But that was what my thought process was. Then it became, I'm not worth it. I'm not worth anything. What he's saying is true. You know, who gonna want me? I got 4 sons. Ain't nobody no man gonna want no girl with 4 sons. Ain't nobody gonna want to take care of anybody's child. Mind you, only one of those sons were his. So that was dumb thinking on my part. But at that time, that's where I was. There was nothing positive about me that I thought. I didn't have friends to tell me, yo, Jack, you need to get up out of that relationship. Back then, people thought that stuff was normal. It was like, oh, that's just man and woman stuff. Don't get involved with that stuff. Don't get involved. Let them handle it or whatever. I'm so glad now that they have all these programs and all these to help people get through this and to guide them through it, because I didn't have that. I didn't have that type of support system. And you know, and if you're coming from the background where you saw domestic violence in your household, you think that's normal. You know, don't let anybody tell you that your husband or your partner or your girlfriend or your boyfriend can't sexually abuse you because y'all are married or in a relationship. That's bullshit. Straight up. Because if you just beat my ass and I don't want to have sex with you and you make me have sex with you, guess what that is? That's fucking sexual harassment. But you do what you have to do because you don't want to get beat again. You don't want to give this person another reason to have to beat you again. So you just be like, okay, well, that's what it is. And then at the same time, you're thinking, well, he just beat me. But now he wants to have sex with me, so he must really be sorry, and he must really love me. So, you know, I can only do, you know, let me just do that to make him happy, and maybe it'll stop. It never stops. If they put their hands on you one time, I guarantee you, and I'm telling you, it's going to happen again. I don't care if it's 6 months later. It's going to happen again because those people have a problem. The problem is not you. Although they try to make it look like you're the problem, you're not. You're not the problem. They have the problem. I feel that men, I'm not going to even say men because now, you know, we have different types of relationship. People that are in those type of abusive relationships and they're the victims, I think that those people have issues. And back then, and I'm talking, my oldest child is 30 something. So let's say 20 something years ago, almost 30 years ago, you know, everybody was like mind their business. It was normal. I had friends that were going through the same thing. When we would get dressed up, dress our kids up, or go out and put on cute clothes and act like nothing happened, when we all knew that we were going through the same thing, and not have friends act like, no, not me. Nah, ain't no nigga putting their hands on me. Meanwhile, you know, yes, you going home, and if that man is not in the mood for whatever, he's putting his hands on you. And that's where I was. I don't know, for me, I feel like the emotional abuse is a lot worse than the physical abuse. And I'll explain why I feel that way. I feel that way because I always felt like the black eyes will heal, the pain will go away, whatever scars, at some point that goes away. I deal with the emotional part of that abuse up until today. Of course, now it's not as bad as it was back then, but there are things that pop in my head from then about myself that, you know, sometimes I have to catch myself and say, you know what, that ain't even you. That ain't you. That's not how you think. That's not how you feel about yourself. You're not that person. So when people see me and they say, oh, I think that you're so strong and da 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 da, in the back of my mind I say, no, I'm not. I was a weak bitch for a long time. Weak. But I was a survivor. Now, if you tell me I'm a survivor, it's kind of different than strong, because I feel like I was weak. I think I felt like I was failing myself. Now, I wanted to keep my kids in this so-called mother-father relationship, because most of my friends didn't have that with their kids. They were single parents and struggling or whatever. And I wanted to keep the kids, the white picket fence, so-called white picket fence. I wanted them to grow up with that, not knowing that I was putting them in more danger. I was showing them what it's like, what I don't want them to be like. I wasn't giving them an example of a man, because I didn't want them to grow up to be abusive to their wives or abusive to their partners. That's not what I wanted for them at all. I would kill one of my kids, you know, if I found out that that's what they were doing to whoever they were in a relationship with. Because I feel like this, if they have to put their hands on you, then you can go. And it takes a real man to walk away from a problem than to stand there and beat you, because beating you is not solving anything. He's just letting out his frustrations on you, and you're standing there and taking it. I was reading, somebody sent me something, and I was reading it, and they were saying, and it said that from the year 2001 to 2002, 6,485 people died fighting the war in Afghanistan. During that same year, that 1 year span, 11,766 women died from domestic violence, either by the current partner or from an ex. Now, today, that number has more than doubled. I could have been that person. My kids could have been raised by my family, by my mom, by my sister. They wouldn't know, you know what I'm saying, what it was to have a mom, or they wouldn't know nothing. They wouldn't know that their mom died, and because she wasn't strong enough to leave this man. I was in that relationship I was married to that man for 8 years. And basically, 7.5 years, I was abused. I was beat. I was psychologically diminished. I was sexually, at some point, not saying all the time, but at some point, abused, because I'm not going to say no. Anything that I did at that time, during that time, it was definitely out of fear. I had nobody to turn to, because everybody thought that was normal. You know how we had that mentality, oh, you don't get involved in husband and wife affairs, because that's between a husband and a wife. And I might have had that mentality back then. But if I have a friend now that I know that's going through this, guess what I'm going to tell her? Get the fuck out. Get out. Because it's not gonna end well. And I'm sorry. And you're not only putting yourself in jeopardy, you're putting the lives of your children in jeopardy. Because at the end of the day, it can only end two ways. Either he kill you or you snap and kill him. And then either way, your kids are suffering. People see me now and they like, they think, oh, you so outspoken. Da-da. I'm not outspoken. That's what these vlogs are about. I'm not outspoken, but I know that I have to break out of it, because if I was outspoken, I probably could have saved myself a lot sooner, and my kids wouldn't have been witnesses to things that I went through. Although they were young, my older son wasn't that young. He was a preteen. So he remembers more of it than the younger ones did. That's why I don't have an issue, after that relationship ended. It took me a long time before I even attempted to get into another relationship out of fear. I was really scared because I didn't want to go through the whole somebody gonna beat me again. I knew that I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that to myself. I couldn't do that to my kids. And that's not what I wanted. I didn't know. I knew I wanted at the end. I knew that I wanted to get out, but I didn't know how. This man would tell me, if you ever leave me, I'm going to make sure every time you look in the mirror, you remember me. And he kept that promise. I have a scar right here on my nose. It was the last time he put his hand on me. Most people don't see it because I keep my glass. I wear glasses. I have a scar right here on my lip. You kind of see it, but you wouldn't know that's what it's from. And for a long time, yeah, I did look in the mirror, and that's all I could think about. That this is what happened, and I would think, oh yeah, well he kept his promise. I remember that, but now I'm remembering it now because I'm talking about it. But honestly, I can honestly say that most times I don't even remember that the scar is there, because that's how much I try to blank that what happened out of my head and kind of sort of recreate myself and be a better person for myself and for those kids, and especially for my daughter, because first of all, when I had my daughter, my sons couldn't even put their hands on her, and if one of them did, it would be hell to pay, because I didn't want her to think it was okay for a man to put their hand on her brother or not. If she did something wrong, you tell me, let me deal with it, not you. So I didn't want her father has never put his hand on her. You know what I'm saying? So, and he couldn't. He couldn't. I wouldn't allow it. Let me be that person to be the, disciplinarian. And I'm not saying that my boys didn't get beaten, because they did, because they was bad as hell at home. But nowadays, that was then. Nowadays, disciplining your kids has changed because people have taken this whole spanking your kids to a whole nother level. So it's frowned upon in society. But I got beatings too. But I get it. So about the whole domestic violence. So I have a big issue with those smart ass comments. Even with girls that have been sexually abused, the Me Too movement, and people comment and saying, oh, why they wait 20 years to talk about it? And why? We don't know how this abuse affected those people for 20 years. You guys will never know how those beatings affected me for the 8 years, and then the year when I was 16, 17 years old, and pregnant at 17, okay? It didn't stop, just letting you know. But you think that's normal because you're like, oh, you must have done something really bad to make him hit you. Or he must love you so much that he got so mad that he put his hand on you. That's what was going on. That's what was going on up here. And when I think about it, and y'all gotta excuse me because this is not scripted, so I'm literally just keeping it as 100 as I can. In my mind, that was what it was. The one, and I never told anybody. I never, my sister knew what was going on, and you know, my mom might have known, but not because I told her. You understand what I'm saying? But I never got that, Jackie, you need to leave. You need to get out of there. The one time I opened my mouth, and this person, I have never loved a man the way I love that man. That's my dad. And I called him this one time, the last time I got hit. I called him and I said, Dad, dude hit me, bust my face open. Mind you, I'm gushing blood everywhere. And my dad said to me, Jackie, what did you do to make him so mad that he would do that to you? And then I paused because that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, what did I do? I had to do something wrong for him to do that to me. What did I do? I don't know. I couldn't answer that. But that's what my thought process was, that I keep doing stuff wrong. So I would try to perfect myself, be the perfect mother, make sure the kids looked good, make sure they went to school, make sure dinner was cooked on time, make sure I cooked what he wanted me to cook, make sure your house is clean. Don't take the kids around people that he don't like, even if they're your friends. Don't talk to people. Don't tell nobody your business. Don't tell nobody what's going on in your house. Nothing. I couldn't do any of that because there were repercussions, and they weren't good. I knew that, coming towards the end, I knew that I wanted to get out. The issue was, how you gonna get out? What are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go? My family had already moved to Maryland. That wasn't in my thought process at that time. My kids were in school. What I'm gonna do? So I'm gonna tell you real briefly what happened, how I got out, because I know that's gonna be a question. One day, I was looking for a babysitter for my youngest son because he was, his previous babysitter wasn't able to babysit him no more. And I passed by this building and it said babysitter. So I went in, talked to this nice little Colombian lady, and to see if she could babysit my son for me. And I'm telling you this because when I talk about this part of this story, it gives me chills to this day. So the lady said, she agreed. She said, okay, I'll babysit for you. I can start tomorrow or whatever. And I said, okay, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow at this time. And I took literally 5 steps away. And I started walking. And I turned back and I said, do you know if there's any apartments in this building? And she said to me, oh, my son is a super. And people that live here, super is maintenance, man. In New York, we call them super because they in charge of the buildings. And if you give them some money under the door, they'll give you your apartment. So she said, come back and talk to him. He'll be back in a little while. When I tell you, that wasn't my goal. That wasn't even my thought process. My thought was, I'm looking for a babysitter because I need somebody to watch my kid because I got to go to work. So I'm telling you this because my mind was so blank that I went back and I saw the super. And he said, oh yeah, I have an apartment. And he took me to the apartment and he said, you know, it needs painting and blah, 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 blah. So for me, I was like, oh no, this is good. This is fine. This is perfect. How much money I have to give you? He said $1,100. Of course I didn't have $1,100. I called my mom and I said, Ma, there's an apartment, da, 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 and this is money. And so my mother said to me, are you sure this is what you want to do? And I said, yeah, I know what I was doing. My mother Western Union that money to me in 30 minutes. And I took that check to that man, that's super. And I got the key to the apartment that day. How did I get out my current apartment? He was a cheating bastard, so he used to stay out a lot. So I would wait till late at night. And I had a shopping cart. Y'all know what shopping carts are, right? Not the ones from the supermarket, but the other ones that you put your laundry in. Well, New Yorkers, y'all know what I'm talking about. And I used to go every night to the house and put all my kids' stuff in the shopping cart and push it. That's how close I was moving, though. Push it to the new apartment and take stuff in there every night. I didn't care about furniture. I didn't care about nothing else. One of my kids' clothes and my clothes, and that's it. One day he came home and we were gone. Yeah, of course he found out, because Panamanian people talk a lot. But when he found out, it was like my sons were going to wait for the bus or something, and next thing I know, I hear the bell, and I look through the people, and my kids are standing in front of the people with fear in their eyes, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? I open the door, and he's standing there. Now, he didn't put his hand on me. He didn't. He said, who lives here? And I said, I do. And he said, who do you live here with? And I said, my kids. And then he said, he came in, walked through, and then he got back out the door, and he said, you're a wicked bitch. And I was like, okay. And I closed the door, and I broke down because I thought he was going to kill me. And he didn't. But, you know, after that, like, he would come and get the kids, and then me, still with that victim mentality, will fall for the bullshit, and he'll spend the night, one night, and then one day he tried the whole put his hand on me stuff, and somebody called the cops and he left. But one day I was thinking, I was like, damn, you let him come to your house, sleep in your house, leave and get up. You went from being his wife to being his mistress. And he still put his hand on you. And that was it for me. That's my story. Straight up. That's how I got up. And I'm telling you, it was nothing but God that put that lady, that sign in that window, and put that question in my head, because I was looking for a babysitter. I tell everybody to this day that that's what it is. So I just want people to be a little bit more sensitive when they're talking about victims, because they're really a victim. And if you don't know what to do, and if you feel lost in a relationship, and if you're being beat down, you don't know how to get out. You don't know how, or you're afraid. And you know, you have like a million reasons going on in your head telling you why you shouldn't go. And then you're listening to all the negative shit that he's putting in your head. And then you just believe in it. So that's basically my story. People see that I post pictures of myself every day, and sometimes, you know, some people like will say smart little stuff to me, you know, making jokes about me, always posting my pictures or whatever. But I told somebody one day, I said, it's really not about me posting pictures of myself just because I want to post pictures of myself, but those pictures allow me to see what other people see, because most of the time I don't see that. That person, that victim, she's still in here. She ain't out there like she was before, or she ain't showing up. You know, she's not gonna put herself in that type of situation ever again. Thank God I gotta knock whatever. I have a good husband, but even if I did it, I would be alone for the rest of my life before I put myself in that situation ever again. So just be sensitive, you know, educate yourself about these types of situations. Be there. If someone that I know now is involved in any type of violent relationship in any way, and I know people still say it to this day. You know, don't tell nobody to leave their man. I might not tell you to leave your man if he's cheating on you, but if he putting his hands on you and he's degrading you and he's abusing you in any type of way, I'm gonna be that girl to be like, you need to get out, because the result is not good. I'm lucky. I just got off with 2 scars. I could have been dead, for real. I could have been dead, because I wasn't I'm not talking, when I say abuse, I'm not even saying abuse. That's too cute. When I say beat, I mean beat. I mean beat. I mean kicked. I mean punched. I mean slapped. I mean bit. That's what this is. I mean choked. I mean whatever. Backhanded in the car. Whatever. And for whatever reason there was. Honestly. And I'm telling you, I was tried to be damn near perfect because I was scared. So yeah, that's what I went through. So my son sent me some questions, but I think I answered it. He wanted to know, can I describe my worst abuse experience? And well, my worst abuse experience was when I got my face split open. I could literally see the bone in my nose. And it's funny because when I got this scar, I must have blacked out, because all I remember was seeing the blood gush. So I was too scared to look in the mirror to see what was going on. And when I finally did go in the mirror, I just started screaming. You know, and I had to, of course, go get stitches and all of that good stuff. At any time, do you feel like you caused the abuse? Well, I answered that. I do feel like I caused the abuse. Well, I don't feel like that now. At that time, I did. I did feel like though it was my fault.